everybody, to Ossont Battery. This is a real special one because I have a band coming back. This is When the Deadbolt Breaks from right here in Connecticut, one of my favorite bands. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
And who do we have with her here today?
Aaron Lewis, guitar vocals.
Steve Weeda, bass.
Okay. So you being Aaron Lewis, is that kind of like, you're like the Michael Bolton from Office Space of the metal community?
It fucking plagues me. Literally, most of my entire life. Going to Guitar Center, they're like, hey, wait a minute. Like, really? Fucking look at me.
Do I look like that guy?
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So first of all, I'm going to start off by saying it's great to have you guys on. I'm a huge fan. And we're here to talk about the new album. So what is the name of the new album? And what's coming out on and when's it coming out?
So it's called In the Glow of the Vatican Fire, and it's going to be on an Argonauta Records out of Italy. The tentative release date is June 27th or June 27th. Yeah. Double vinyl.
Nice.
So really looking forward to that.
Double vinyl is especially, I think, essential for you guys because you have such long form kind of albums. So,
yeah.
And that's something I've been looking forward to as well. So I'm glad. So there has been some lineup changes from the last record. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, I mean, there's been, like, the entire history of the band, there's been changes coming and going. And that's kind of, I think that's been part of the thing all the way along is that, you know, every time somebody new comes with the band or goes, you know, from the band, it changes the style in a positive direction one way or the other, you know. So it kind of keeps everything evolving, you know. So when we finished this record, Rob was on drums and he decided he didn't want to do it anymore, the touring and all that stuff. So we were okay with that. It was fine. So we split ways amicably, and we looked for a couple drummers. We tried out a couple people here and there, and it just, you know, either they were really good and they couldn't do a lot of the traveling because we do travel out of state quite a bit, or they didn't have everything that we wanted and they could do the trip. So we couldn't find every single thing that we wanted at one time. So Steve had this idea. He said, "Hey, I got this program. Let's try it out." And at first I was really hesitant because we're a heavy band, and you know, the only really heavy band that I was thinking of was Godflesh, and I'm like, well, we're not Godflesh, you know. So I kind of put everything aside, and I was like, fuck it, let's give it a shot, right? So we worked on a couple songs, and then we did 3 shows down south. It was Delaware, Richmond, which fell through, and
West Virginia? No.
Yes, it was West Virginia.
Oh yeah.
And we did that all with the drum machine. I was like, holy shit, this actually is gonna fucking work. So that's the thing. So now it's Steve, Amber, and myself, and Ringo.
Nice. All right. So next thing is the songwriting process on the album. What is that like with a band that has so many, like I said, different kind of sounds in it, and also with different members contributing different, you know, instruments and stuff? I know Steve plays a lot of different instruments. So what's the songwriting process like?
So this one, I think, was kind of typical for what you would see in a modern band context, which is we all have our own studios, we all have our own applications, so there's just a lot of passing files back and forth.
Okay.
And what's really kind of great is everybody gets to put their own flavor on it, and everyone has their own space to do that in, where they're comfortable. You know, it's our own studio, we know our stuff. But one of the challenges that I find, anyway, is finding a band where you can have your individuality but still have the hive mind, where you know what you want to do as an individual on the track, but you also have sort of the more greater concept of what it's supposed to sound like start to finish.
Yeah.
Which I think really kind of allows us to play off of each other. Aaron and I have known each other literally since 7th grade.
Oh, okay.
So to a certain degree, you know, I think there's a little bit of groupthink going on there where we both kind of have the same idea of where we want to move. And someone like Amber just takes it to the next level. And there's sort of this musical bond that goes on within the band where, again, we understand the overarching concept of what we ultimately want the whole tune to sound like, but in order to get there, we all have to kind of put our own little pieces in. So we might do something a little bit unusual where I kind of hear what Aaron is doing for a chord progression, and I'll decide to throw some major 7s or some other off things in there. So that's like my little sonic signature, but not taking the song out of context.
Yeah. And it was interesting because when we started writing these songs, we really didn't have a solid idea of what we were doing with them. Rob and Steve and I just kind of like we started throwing riffs together, and I think with some of them, Rob actually just arranged them how he felt they should be. Mm-hmm. Like the Evil, I think, was one of those, and there was a couple. So that was interesting. Like, we go into the studio and we do something, we come out and it's like, once he sends it out, it sounds like something completely different. So we're like, oh, fuck, we'll roll with it,
Okay.
So it was kind of interesting. And then, once we did like the basics of the music, Amber and I would sit down in the studio and just, usually just drink wine and just write the lyrics, usually in paragraphs, which for me was a bit of a different process, because generally it's like I come up with the lyrics as I go, and but this time we really split everything and we kind of bounced everything off of each other. So if I had a very specific idea in mind for a couple of the paragraphs and direction that I was going, she sees things very differently than I do. So she would take that and kind of run with it. So all of a sudden morphed into something a little different than what I was originally planning, and usually something very, very better, a lot better. And then once Steve got a hold of it, it just added a whole different spin to it even from that. So came out to be a whole different beast than we were even thinking it would be.
Now, also I wanted to ask is there like a theme with like the lyrics, the music, and the art? Is there like a whole overarching theme?
Yes and no, I guess. So with the art, the whole thing with the art was before COVID. There was some issues with when the Deadbolt breaks with some of the prior lineups, So we went off. We started doing this other band for a very short period of time. It was Rob, our old bass player Charlie, Amber, and myself, and a thing called Vatican Fire. We did one show, then COVID hit, and everybody was like, "Oh, we're not doing anything anymore," and we just locked ourselves away and waited for the shit to blow over, But Vatican Fire was really interesting because it was just a really heavy, aggressive, borderline grindcore mixed with the extreme opposite of heavy psychedelic doom. It was just either opposite of one end or the other, And then you had Amber's voice of doing like very like liturgical choir type stuff over the growling and screaming that Charlie and I were doing. So it ended up being this really unique kind of stuff, but we didn't do anything with it after that. So when we started writing this record, we were like, you know what? Those are good songs. So we threw them onto this album, and that became Vatican. We wanted to do something with the name Vatican Fire, so that kind of became the name of the record in the glow of the Vatican Fire. A buddy of ours did the artwork for us. He wanted to remain nameless because he's got some cancer going on and he's not doing too well. So we sent out this drawing that he did to our buddy in Toronto, Bill Cole, and he made the rest of the artwork with it. So
nice.
Lyrically, I guess there are some themes that go with it, but it's not like it's not like a concept album.
Yeah.
Each song has some of its own themes, and some of the songs that we don't even really know. It's just really just kind of written based off of whatever feeling we were at the moment, Well,
one I wanted to ask about is I think it's you've already put out as a single, is the Chaos of Water.
Yeah.
And I really love the title of the song because it does kind of remind me of like how water can be a little trickle.
Yeah.
And then you can also have this huge deluge of storminess and stuff like that. That really reminds me of the song itself. Was that kind of what you had in mind with that? Or?
So one Christmas, I was a dumbass and drank way too much, and came home and broke my leg. It was the first thing I've ever broken, and this was 2 years ago, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. It was Christmas Eve. Yeah. So that was the first time I'd ever broken anything. I broke it in 3 spots. I think to do it well, right?
Yeah.
And it was 2 weeks after that. The ground was so icy. Everything just started flooding because there was tons of rain, and the basement flooded. And that's where our studio was, where my photo studio is, and the water was just fucking coming up out of the ground. Unstoppable. So these guys had to come over and help. And I was like, I felt like I was useless because I had a cast on, and I'm doing everything I could. And I'm
Don't get it wet.
I know, and I'm doing everything I could to try and help, and I just felt useless. It's just, and that's where that song came from.
Oh, okay.
It was basically just the whole useless feeling of that, and that's why the song kind of goes in ebbs and flows, and so that's where.
And what I found really interesting is, to me, it's a tone poem about drowning, because you've got the panic at first, then you've got this realization that it's over, and then sort of an acceptance
coming
and
to peace.
Flow. It's it was kind of like getting a big wet hug from God.
Now, would you call this your guys' most extreme album? That's now you've given me some of the album to listen to before I interviewed you, and I kind of got that. It's like there's some really really lush parts, but there's also some real heavy. Maybe that has to do with the drum machine and the relentless pounding. Would you say it's your most extreme?
Well, the drums on this one, that's Rob.
Okay.
So the live stuff that we're doing now is primarily drum machines, but the drums on there, that's all Rob. I don't know if it's extreme. Like, I want to hear your take, but so my take on it first is like I think it's definitely it's definitely our most experimental. I think we did what we could to push our limits, but we didn't do that necessarily on purpose. We had the ability, we had the equipment, we had the sort of the vision, I guess, and we just said, fuck it, let's just go for it and do what we want with it, you know? And we never go into anything saying, oh no, it has to sound like this, it has to sound like that, it can't be this unless it has to be metal, and it's never like that. It's like if we write something and it sounds like Mozart, then cool, let's see if we can work with it and make it into whatever we can, you know? So I wouldn't say the most extreme, but definitely the most experimental and probably the most mature, I would think.
That's interesting. And the way I would think about it is the last album, oh my God, Angels Are Weeping, God Is Abandoned, and then As Hope Valley Burns. Thank you. Oh, crap. I call it As Hope Valley Burns the Oh Yeah, I Forgot album. Because if you look at something like I Live in Dirt, it's this kind of schizophrenic tune, and it starts in one direction, goes to another, and then at the end we're like, oh yeah, from before here, we'll wrap it back up. Whereas this album, the new one, is more of a Columbo album. It's the oh yeah, one more thing, where we take something, we kind of do everything we can with it, and then we're like, well, what do we do with it? Oh, let's just do something completely different. Like, it's just like you switch your head, and you're like, let's suddenly go really calm and somber. And then you're like, well, no, I still have something in me. I want to bash out the end, and then you kind of pick it back up again. Yeah. But I do agree with Aaron. I think some of the most important things that I keep with the band is that we're unusual, but we're not doing that on purpose. We don't sit there and say, what can we do that's really crazy, that's going to turn some heads? There's nothing like that. We're just kind of doing what comes out of it, but we're not necessarily willing to say no to anything. So, Aaron comes up with something, it doesn't quite match. We're not going to sit there and say, nope, we can't make it work. We're going to say, well, how can we make it work? Is it an abrupt change where it just goes, fuck you, I don't care what you were playing before, now you're playing something different? Or is it more evolving, where we take a heavy riff, lighten it up, spread it out over time, and make it more melodic? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I wouldn't say, some of the past Deadbolt albums, to put the word extreme, is light, I think. Yeah. Because some of them are just brutal, just absolutely brutal. And so I wouldn't say this is like the heaviest album, but I do agree with Aaron that it's probably the most out there, because we had some really different personalities working on it. Rob is death metal and just hammering, and Aaron is experimental and out there. Amber is classically trained and just brings in that entire element of holy crap. And then, I'm just working within my limitations, which kind of pigeonholes me into a certain degree of play.
And that's what I love about the band is like, if someone will be like, hey, what kind of band is When the Deadbolt Breaks? You'll be like, that's a good question. I don't know. They're kind of like this, but then sometimes they're like this, Yeah. I will keep me on my toes.
Yeah, and Amber's vocals definitely help push me, because you play to your weakest link, really, basically, which I feel like vocally is me. So I do what I can to keep up with her. So it's actually helped make me, I feel, a better vocalist,
Nice.
Which I think kind of took what we do now to a different level, she just has a different way of seeing the harmonies and the melodies as things go, which I wouldn't have done them that way, because I don't have that ability and I don't have that ear for that, So it makes it very unique, very interesting.
Right. No, I'm sorry. No, go right ahead. No.
I like calling it post-doom. I'm throwing that term out there and hoping it sticks. I'll just keep saying it until someone else says it, and then I'll feel really good about myself. I mean, we've never been doom. You know, we've always been kind of this weird stepchild of doom, where we're too fast for doom, too slow for metal, and I just feel like we're just taking it in a very different direction. I mean, doom is fantastic, but it's very flat fifth, very tritone, very Black Sabbath. You know, where it's like you kind of hear the riff and you're like, oh, well, that's doom. We don't kind of follow those same progressions and those same intervals. We look at something a little bit different, and the direction, I just feel like we're taking it in a different direction, which is where I get the post from, because it's like, yeah, doom is awesome. There are so many good doom bands out there. They've done it as good as they're going to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like you can listen to Afghan Haze and just be like, well, there it is.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not doing it better than them.
Yeah, that's
ever. So
they are a fucking good band.
Yeah.
Holy crow, right? So we just wind up somewhere else, and I think it's where we're comfortable and where we feel, hey, we can add value here. We can do something a little bit different and make our voice, because, you know, it's been perfected. It really has.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, like you said, I mean, how many Tony Iommi riffs can people rip off, right? You know?
Well, I want to be very careful about that, because it's not ripping off.
I know. I'm an aficionado of, like, you know, Black Sabbath inspired doom, but I remember I heard a good quote in one person sometime. They said heavy metal is essentially just finding new and inventive ways of ripping off Tony Iommi. Like, you know,
the first Goat Snake album. When I remember I was reading the liner notes, it says we play Les Paul guitars and Black Sabbath riffs. I'm like, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm like, that's perfect. That means it's a band that I want to listen to.
Right.
You know?
And to a certain extent, Tony Iommi got it from Sid Barrett. So somehow this is all acid based.
This is true.
All right, so next thing, I'm glad you brought up Afghan Haze, because they're a Connecticut band.
Yeah.
Next thing I wanted to ask about, what's it like playing live in the Connecticut scene and the overall New England scene in general?
Tough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good bands. So I mean, it's hard to. I mean, I don't get into the whole competition side of things, and luckily now the scene is different now than it was back 10, 15, 20 years ago. So there is no just. Not that real competitive vibe. There used to be, and they used to really fucking suck. And we never adhered to it. We just fucking did our own thing and just whatever. You guys want to be on the radio? Who gives a fuck, you know? But now there's definitely more of a camaraderie, more of a brotherhood, you know. And you got bands like Afghan Haze and I mean, God, there's Bone Church. There's so many good bands. So it makes it hard to stand out, you know. But we just keep doing our thing, and we keep plugging away, and we love meeting these bands and playing. Like, God, I mean, we played with He Was a God, right?
Yep.
Jesus Christmas. Those are I've heard about them a bunch of times.
Where are they from?
They're from like Milford, I think.
Yeah, Milford.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was our first time playing with them. We opened for Gender Torturers the other night at the Ballroom, and they went on right before us, and they are a really great band. I mean, they're like a hyper-focused Alice in Chains, but better. Like, it's really, really great band.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's the scene is just, there's a lot of really great bands that stand out, you know?
It's funny, somebody one time I heard someone say, and maybe made a comment on it, like, oh, you don't hear many great heavy metal bands from Connecticut. I was like, really? I do. I hear a ton of them.
Have they been listening?
Exactly. Like, maybe you're just not looking, because I was like, I could give you about 100 right now.
Easily.
I could list.
Yeah.
You know?
The reason I said tough almost immediately is lack of venue.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I know it's sign of the times. You know, I mean, the venues are getting less and less everywhere. I mean, you used to be able to just go out and gig and do it every night, 2 sets a night. So it's a tough place to get out there and be heard, because you're going to either be playing the same venues repeatedly, or it becomes so compartmentalized. Like, oh, you're outside of the Hamden, New Haven area, then you've never heard of these bands.
Yeah.
Oh, you're outside of the Norwich area, you've never heard of these bands. Between that and really, I keep going back to the fragmentation of music thanks to digital distribution, where I'm death metal. No, I'm Swedish, depressive, suicidal black metal. And it's like, and on one hand, it's beautiful because, I mean, how many fans could we get in Connecticut with 3 million people in it? Say 100.
Yeah.
When you expand that out to the 3 billion people that are on the internet, that 100 turns into 10,000. All of a sudden, you've got a market. It's economy of scale. You can make an impact. So on one hand, it's phenomenal. On the other hand, it has just divided us into these tiny little pigeonholes. Mm-hmm. And it becomes difficult to break through because someone might say, well, this is the genre I really like. I really like this suicidal, depressive black metals from Sweden, and that's my little world. And if you're not in that world, I'm not going to listen to you. The algorithm doesn't turn us up. After you hear None, it's not like people who like None love when the Deadbolt breaks. So we don't, it's difficult to be heard when you're kind of playing the same spaces, you're encapsulated within your state, and then you're also encapsulated within your very, very specific granular genre.
It's funny that you say about venues closing down. The first time I saw you guys was at, would have been Altones at the time, and that's since closed, unfortunately. And, it's just, it really sucks that, these venues shut down and stuff like that.
It's part of the reason why we travel so much now. I mean, but not that we travel a ton, but I mean, at least couple times a month we'll get out and go to New York or Jersey or Delaware or wherever we can. I mean, it's the experience of getting out to a new place plus getting your music out to new people and making new friends, and just you can't play Connecticut all the time. There's just not enough venues,
No.
Plus it gets boring.
Not enough people.
Not enough people.
And the clubs that we play at in Connecticut are wonderful. I mean, the Cellar's awesome. I mean, Joaquin and Cherry Street. Joaquin's a fucking wonderful person.
He's a god.
The ballroom, we love playing these places, but there's something to be said about, going out of state and just walking into a club you've never been to before and ending the night with a bunch of new friends and, walking out of there. So,
especially some of the borderline chicken wire bottles being thrown in West Virginia, where you're like, everybody here is just waiting for us to leave so that they can throw on country and hoedown.
It's like Roadhouse or something.
Yeah, and it could happen. And then, like Maryland. My God, they love us in Maryland. I remember this. We were at Maryland Doomfest, and this fella came up to Aaron, hugged him, and just said, "You are Maryland Doom." And I'm like,
you gotta love that.
I know. We're like, all right,
endorsement.
I know. We're like, that's pretty awesome. Too bad we're in Connecticut.
All right. So next thing I want to ask. Now I just have a few, because it's kind of random fun stuff. Okay, so first one is what you're talking about being on the road.
Yeah.
What's your guilty pleasure snack when you're on the road? Something maybe you go in, you're at a gas station, you know you shouldn't fucking eat it, but you do.
Gummy nerds.
Gummy nerds.
Yep.
I'm guilty of eating a few gummies myself.
Yeah.
Both regular and THC.
Right? God, probably Doritos, I guess.
Okay. Any specific flavor? Nacho cheese, Cooler Ranch?
Just a straight up nacho cheese.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So next thing I wanted to ask
GPS
was.
signal lost.
Oh no, we're lost.
I can't get home now.
No.
God damn it.
You have to take us in.
Why is it even still going?
I mean, you don't have to answer that.
I think you've arrived.
I have arrived.
All right. Well, if you're on Ossont Battery, you've definitely arrived.
We're here.
All the 80 people that might watch today. All right. What's your favorite sci-fi show? Favorite science fiction show?
Oh God. Are we going back to it doesn't matter how long ago?
It doesn't matter how long ago.
Man, I used to love Buck Rogers.
Okay.
Pigs in space.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Mine would either have to be. Mine's probably Quantum Leap.
Quantum
I'm
leap.
I'm a leaper.
Yeah.
Right.
He just keeps hoping the next leap
will be the leap home. All right. So next thing I wanted to ask you was your favorite comedian.
I'd have to say George Carlin. I saw him right before he died, and he was
cool.
so angry. I think he literally pissed off everybody in the audience. I mean, there was nobody safe. It was a beautiful thing to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Since he took George Carlin, who is my number one, I'm going with my new number one, Patton Oswalt.
Oh, okay. I like
Patton
Patton
Oswalt.
I'll just laugh myself sick no matter what he says.
I have a few, probably my all-time favorite is Bill Hicks. We all, who doesn't love Bill Hicks? And then I really love this guy, Gary Goldman. He does a whole 14-minute bit on cookies. That is phenomenal. He doesn't do any like controversial stuff, and he also does a bit about when he was a kid. He grew up playing basketball at the Jewish Community Center, and one time they had to stop practice to put in breakaway ribs at the Jewish Community Center. So that's a good bit as well.
Yeah, Dana Gould too. If you get.
Oh yeah, he's great.
My God, he's
all right. So the next thing I wanted to ask is. Do you know where I can get some good glasses? Because I'm actually reading this. Oh,
I can tell you where not to go.
Okay. What is your current non-heavy playlist? Something non-heavy, no metal.
So when I'm working, I like to listen to classical because it kind of keeps me grounded. So it's either classical or like soft jazz. So I guess that would probably be my go-to as far as that goes.
My guilty pleasure is Barry Manilow, and I do not say that ironically or in jest. I truly am amazed and love Barry Manilow.
Well, he writes the songs. So.
He does write the songs, but I mean, like, could it be magic? Check out that tune. He incorporates Chopin's C sharp minor waltz, and it's stunning.
Did you ever see that Family Guy?
Yes.
And they were all like,
yes.
Barry Manilow sucks. Yeah, fucking like, oh, this song's pretty good.
Yeah, no, that song is good. Oh my God, I want to see Barry
next time
Manilow.
they're all seeing there, he sings the Quagmire.
Yep. Oh, Quagmire, you came in. Yes.
That was so great. Mine probably one. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of Gil Scott-Heron. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Who's that?
Do you know The Revolution Will Not Be Televised?
Oh,
it's an old beat from the 60s.
Okay.
And he also has a song, album called Reflections from 1981, and it has a song called Is That Jazz?
Yep. And
it calls out to all the old like jazz guys and how much he loves them, and it has possibly the best bass line of all time in it.
That's cool.
Check it out. I mean, this guy's like crazy going on.
Nice.
So next thing I wanted to ask is what's upcoming for Deadbolt? What do you guys got coming up? I know you have, I think you're playing the Doom and Bruise Fest, correct?
Yep.
In June?
Yeah. So this record that we're releasing, In the Glow of the Vatican Fire, is coming out June 27th, tentatively. It's our 10th record, 10th full-length record.
Wow.
20 years, actually. 20 years almost to the day.
Wow.
Yeah, our first record came out in 2004. So we're looking forward to that. And we're playing Cherry Street on May 16th, and then we're doing the Doom and Bruise in Norwich, Connecticut. And then after that, in July, we're going to Canada. We're going to be doing at least 6 shows in Canada.
Oh,
We've
wow.
got half of them booked right now. And we got a buddy of ours out there working on the rest of them. So
Now, where will you guys be playing in Canada?
we got Toronto, Ottawa,
Montreal, and Hamilton.
Yep, so far. And we're looking to, I think he's also working on Nova Scotia and a couple other places.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're looking at 6 or 7 shows in Canada. So
Have you ever played Canada before? Or?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We did Toronto and Montreal. I think it was 2016. I think it was because we did only out to New York. We did a festival in Toronto, over to Montreal to the Crowbar, and we did Burlington, Vermont, and came back. So
Cool.
and it was actually Buzzard Canyon and Deadbolt side by side.
So that was before me. I've never actually been to Canada.
Yeah.
Everything I know about Canada comes by way of Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Oh, nice. We'll try to get some
Love them.
poutine while you're out there.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah,
poutine
there
and
was, okay.
Elsinore beer. I'm looking forward to finally finding out if there is an Elsinore.
And I know the cream soda is pink there.
It is?
Really?
Yes, their cream soda is pink for some reason. I don't know why.
I did not know
It's
that.
Yeah,
bleed
so-
off from the Canadian flag.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that must be it.
Yeah,
Very good.
they washed their flag and their whites at the
And their
same
cream
time.
soda.
And said, "Oh, look at that, eh? I'm
Oh, yeah.
sorry about that, but oh, what a color!"
Well, it could be our 51st state, right? So oh God, I hope not.
Yeah, we don't even know if we're going to get back over the border once we're done the tour, but,
Yeah,
I
might not want to.
But no, so we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be
Awesome.
It's going to be a great time. We're going with a couple of really good bands from that, from the area up there. So, and then after that, we don't know. We're going to keep looking at some shows around here, and then just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you guys want to promote? You want to say about the band, the upcoming album?
Promote. Listen to it.
Definitely.
I don't know. I mean, just listen to it with an open mind. Kind of approach it as something maybe not as you do other music, in as much as I really think you need to listen to it start to finish.
Definitely.
You know, we were very careful about song placement, how we want to leave it. You know, Chaos of Water is the end of side 2 because you're supposed to be kind of drained and exhausted and have to heave yourself up to the record player to switch the records, and you're all shitty and you don't know which end is up. So yeah, I would, if anything, I would just say kind of listen to it back to front. And if it touches you, you know, there's plenty of little goodies in there we tried to make it worth close listening and repeat listening.
Oh, and that's one thing before we wrap up is I wanted to mention is that this is definitely an album that, like I said, you can find so many different things in it on repeat listening. I've listened to about 4 or 5 times since you probably gave it to me, and it's probably in contention right now for me for album of the year. And because it's such an adventure, and there's so much stuff you can, you know, find on repeat listens and little things like, oh, I didn't hear that before. That's amazing, you know? Yeah. And then you end up like listening to that and like, oh, I look forward to that part now. So you guys should be proud of this record.
Oh,
definitely.
We definitely are. We spent a lot of time on it, and I feel like there's something even for people that don't like specifically heavy music. I mean, there's a lot of, Amber sings, I think, what you said, like 60% of the record or something. Yeah. She's on a lot of it. So there's definitely a lot of, I don't want to say mellower stuff, but there's definitely more accessible than earlier Deadbolt stuff. And again, we didn't do that on purpose. That's just the feeling that we had when we were writing it. That's just how it came out, you know? And there's a lot of effects on there, and there's a lot of swirling psychedelia, you know, but
I think you even heard some strings on there, right? Is there?
There's a. Well, I'm glad Aaron brought it up because this is what I love about us. It's all bass, guitar, and vocals. There are no keyboards. There's no esoteric stuff. The song bowls and the steel drum that comes on Red Sparrow.
Yeah.
So Amber does that.
That's a great track.
Other than that, it's guitar, bass, and vocals, and
we can do it all live.
We can do it all live. There's very little studio magic. I think the most plugins were just maybe reverb and a low pass filter.
Yeah.
So it's not loaded with plugins. It's not loaded with like just novel stuff. I mean, it's all things we can do live as a small piece.
Yeah.
And the strings that you heard was an upright bass that I.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, that sounded great because I think that was that in the Chaos of Water. I believe
it's Deep Well.
Deep Well, that's what it was. Yeah.
Which on that, Joaquin sings the ending of that. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. Because we had reached out to him. Like I said, we've known Joaquin forever. He's been a really good friend. Always treats us really well. He brings us to Cherry Street and anywhere else he books us. So we asked him if he would want to do some parts on that, and he was like, oh, "Fuck yeah!" So we wrote some lyrics for him, you know, and he put together the ending, which just came out fantastic. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. This was great. Now, everyone out there, if you have an adventurous taste in music, you got an open mind, go out there. You're going to love the new Deadbolt album, In the Fire of the Vatican, right?
In the Glow of the Vatican
Fire. In the Glow of the Vatican Fire. Find it, June 27th, Argonauta Records. Yep. Buy it. You're going to love it. This has been Ossont Battery. Stay metal, everyone.
Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com, and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing. Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing, or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases, or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza DoNisi. Pizza DoNisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, to sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street. So either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken, fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge Live showcases and is an integral stop in the Ultimate Underground Metal Tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza DoNisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays. Located right next to Pizza DoNisi at 1398 South 2nd Street, open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. For 45 years in keeping Louisville weird, Electric Ladyland has been there for all your eccentricities. While they do offer the best smoking supplies out on the market today, there's a whole lot more to check out. From ashtrays and blacklight posters, to records, incense and burners, and items to stock your metaphysical supply. They're open from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Located at 2325 Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and at ElectricLadyland420.com.